Hey there, my friend. Chances are we have all been subject to a comparison. As the trailer showed you, some of the most common ones start when we're kids. Why can't you be like your brother? Or, similar type of comparisons that have made us feel, well, left with, I'm not enough. I'm a bad person. All of your insecurities, your shortcomings become amplified. And that happens in our own brains. We do that ourselves. It's hardwired into our, you know, system, limbic system, even neofrontal cortex. We become our worst critics, or we take criticism in a way that makes us feel as though we're less. And the reality is that you're not less. I want to share with you a story. A friend of mine, Rebecca, her sister was a straight A student, extremely smart. And I remember hearing her mom tell her, why can't you be a good student like your sister? The thing here that I want to talk about was that Rebecca was an incredible artist. She didn't even need to look at a picture of something, and she would just draw these amazing, amazing pictures. Some of them you'd swear were photographs. She did one in pencil that I thought it was a photo. It was so good. The point I'm trying to make here is that regardless of whether she was a straight A student or not, and by the way, her mother was a professor at a local college, and her dad was an engineer for aerospace industry. So certainly their bias would be, the emphasis on academia with very little appreciation for her ability, her natural ability to create beautiful artwork. And I was always blown away. I always praised her for her artwork, not with any intention of necessarily building her self-esteem, but she was truly talented. And I couldn't understand why these people so close to her, these people who love her, couldn't see the incredible talent that she had. And you're no different. We're all unique. We've all grown up with different life experiences. We all have natural gifts that if we haven't found them, we've got to keep searching because they're there. They're within us. To feeling bad about who you are is going to put you into this cycle of depression and keep you from actually finding that true talent that you have at something. And that's so important to be able to find that and be your true authentic self, not to compare yourself with other people. Now, this became really highlighted with social media and these finely curated lives that people put up there. They'd rent a Lamborghini and sit in it like, oh, look at me, and, rent a mansion for the day and sit by an Olympic-sized pool with a view of the ocean. Look, I'm not putting people down who have that kind of lifestyle. Good for them. But we have to understand that you're talking about probably less than 1% of the general population. So we can't feel bad that we don't have that. We can admire that in other people. Admiration is great. Oh, I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you have that in your life and it makes you happy. But I also took a trip into another country where people were generally below poverty, really poor. And I went to their home and they fixed me a meal. They had a family meal and they invited me in to join. It was a wonderful meal. Um, Very basic, but wonderful. And they were in the backyard playing games and laughing, and they had music playing, and they were really, really genuinely happy. And so you look at that and say, on the surface, they don't have anything. But when you're there, you feel and understand that they have everything. And that's the point that I want to make in this video. I raised millennials, I have friends with Gen Zs, and their entire life revolves around that social media. They have their phones out constantly. They're looking at, the doers and the shakers, and a lot of them are showing a curated story of their life. It's not how their life really necessarily is. And being a, business consultant, I work with a lot of CEOs that are very, very rich and also very, very unhappy. So we can't necessarily equate a great deal of money with a great deal of happiness. And I've said this in previous videos that money does not create happiness. Find happiness and find how you can do what makes you happy and generate an income. That's really, in my purview, that's perfect. That really is good. And whenever I feel not real happy or disappointed, I take the time to go out and make someone else's life better. Spend time with them. I do coaching calls. And we have a responsibility, a social responsibility of human beings to raise each other up. And that always makes me feel good when somebody says, wow, thanks. I feel so much better now. To me, that's fulfilling. That is truly fulfilling. So let's talk about this comparison or toxic comparison in our daily life. Look, comparison is a natural part of our critical thinking. That's why I had to name the neocortex there. That's where our critical thinking goes. When we have an opportunity to make a choice, right? Like apples and oranges. We go through and we explore our alternatives. Like, where are we going to go for lunch? Well, let's see. Can we, maybe Mexican food or Italian food, or maybe go for a burger or whatever it might be. We have options or alternatives to choose from. Life is very much like that. We always do comparisons to see which fits us the best. What we feel like eating today doesn't mean that we're going to want that tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. We like variety. So critical thinking breaks things down into, I have a decision to make. What are my range of alternatives or options? And then let me choose from those based on my own criteria, whatever is going on, whatever I feel like in the moment, or what I project to be beneficial to me long term. And we don't experience that same type of comparison when we're talking about, how come I don't make as much money as my neighbor across the street? He just pulled in with a brand new SUV, the one I've been eyeing for a year and a half, right? That is not productive, unless, of course, you're willing to do what it takes to get that. If it means that much to you, because I'm not making a judgment on the neighbor. I am analyzing the feeling I'm getting by looking at what other people have, and I don't. And we all do that. So if it really means a lot to me, then I might plan out how to achieve that. Goals are good. It's not bad. However, where they become insidious is when we believe that if we had that, then we'd be happy. And that's not the case. It's not the case. Things don't make us happy. Relationships are generally what makes us happy. We're social creatures. It's a part of our DNA. And when we can get along and enjoy the company of other people, regardless of their social status, then we find a level of happiness. But we need to understand that happiness is not a constant. It's not something that you wake up in the morning and I'm happy, and then throughout your day, you're super happy. And then when you go to bed, you're so darn happy, and you wake up the next day and you're super happy. No, that's not realistic. And you know what? I think it's very healing to be able to feel the range of emotions that are available to us in our human experience. To be sad when you feel sad, allow yourself to feel that emotion. Those lows kind of give us a boost when it comes to feeling the positive feelings that we have in our life. We appreciate them more because we've felt the other side of that. And that is just human existence. That's what it means to be a human being. It's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So when we talk about toxic comparison, we're really talking about, wanting what other people have simply because it looks amazing. But is that realistic for us right now in this moment? Some of the happiest and most fulfilled people I've ever met would not be anyone in the top 1% of the income earning population, but they've learned to enjoy what they have instead of having this pain of what they don't have, this desire to have things that other people have that they want, but it certainly would take time and money to get. And I've worked with these people who have these things that have worked hard for, I want that, that nice big house and this really attractive zip code and have the things, and they're still miserable. Some of them go into deep depressions once they achieve getting that thing for two reasons. Number one, it didn't give them the sense of happiness that they had hoped. And number two, they had acquired it. And so now what? Now what? What else now do I need to get? Because that didn't make me happy. I need to get something else. Obviously, something's missing. What do I need to get? And it becomes a never-ending downward spiral because they don't find fulfillment in those things that they believed would make them happy. So how do we address this? How do we handle this, in essence, envy of other people and their beauty and their success and their so-called success, their things, they've acquired these bright and dazzling objects, baubles, if you will. Number one, we have to learn to appreciate what we do have. And I know this is not toxic positivity. It is merely a practice that can help. I know because I do it. I have a gratitude list. And it's pretty long. And I would say more than 3/4 of it are relationships, people in my life that make me happy, that put a smile on my face. Other things are activities that I enjoy doing, going for walks, going into the wilderness and spending time just in solitude. Yes, by the way, I am an introvert, but be that as it may, I do enjoy the solitude and the beauty of nature so much that it fulfills me. Having a list of those things, when things get very difficult, challenging, or you begin to feel depressed, you have access to things that are fulfilling, that make you feel good about your life. And that's what we need. Look, if social media, and that's the biggest area that I see right now where comparison is rampant. Be like me, own a yacht, own a Rolls Royce, own a mansion, have billions of friends over and throw wild parties. That we have to pause and say, you know what? I'm going on to social media with the intent to find something other than that. Something about calmness, something about finding peace, something about improving myself from, areas of my life that I want to expand on. Taking or finding different ways of exploring what I enjoy. Going for a bike ride. It doesn't have to be something expensive. Walking down, luckily we have a river, stream, that I like to walk down to and just sit and watch the filtered sunlight go through the leaves of the trees and hit the water. That brings me peace. The sound of the birds and the rushing water and the connection with the earth. You have to find items for your gratitude list. Those things where you find yourself being or experiencing peace in your life. Things that you feel fulfilled, whether it's like Rebecca and her drawings, beautiful, beautiful drawings. Whatever it is, what's important is that it brings you happiness, it brings you joy, and it brings you fulfillment. And that's what really matters. That's what makes you unique. We're all different. We are all happy in different ways. We find different things satisfying. So when we talk about toxic comparison, it's something that we can leave out of our life, but we have to do it intentionally. We have to know and understand those things that may be beneficial to us that are out there in the social media or on the internet, and be very aware of those things that are not that, and spend our time focusing in on what we can do. Not just watch social media, but what can we take from it and input in our own life with little effort or expense, and find that happiness that's waiting within us to be awakened. That's this week. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was of value to you. If it was, please, by all means, put comments down below. And I have related videos at the end of this video for you to view if you're interested in mindfulness and other ways of being able to access joy in a world filled with adversity.